Hi guys, so I wanted to show you guys a scrapbook that was made in the 1930s. This scrapbook was made by a woman named Muti. That's not her full name, but that's the name I know her by. I would go over to her house when she was in her late 90s and we would just hang out. And so she was a teen in the 30s. And she made a lot of scrapbooks. And this is the third scrapbook that I've been given. Her daughter gave me this, and she just told me I could have it and share it with you guys. And this is also a big helpful thing for me because this is honestly how I learn. A lot of you guys say, oh, what sites do you use to learn and stuff? Well, obviously I do have my sources and stuff, but this is predominantly where I get most of my knowledge from, just seeing it and getting that firsthand knowledge with the stuff I have. It's just kind of interesting to see what designs were in that year because most of the time she labeled them. I loved this. I thought this was really unique. Look at that pattern. It is so unique. I don't think I've ever seen a pattern like that from the 30s. Have you seen a pattern like that? Because I'm sure as heck not seen a pattern like that. But a lot of the pages are not finished. I'll show you in the back where she probably wanted to keep on going, but life got to her and she just didn't finish it. But it's really interesting to see all of the pictures and all of the little portraits that are in it. It's just so darling, and it's not something that you really see us making nowadays, scrapbooks, and I really hope maybe I can do this someday and keep a document of like everything that's in style now and stuff, because we all use our phones and stuff, but I don't know, I just love having like paper things, just being able to see it with my hands and stuff. This is beautiful. A lot of these dresses you'll see are the bias cut dress, or they have a 40s type silhouette. Like right there, that would be considered a bias cut. And what I mean by bias cut is that it's biased towards your body. So it's going to hang loosely on your body. You can't really see that in that photo, but I think the next photo, I mean, if you didn't have that scarf, that would definitely be a bias cut dress. It's just draped on, and the 30s was really known for the bias cut. When you get a little bit later into the decade and, into the 40s, that's when you started seeing more structural things. Oh my gosh, I love colored photos from the 30s because it's just something, it's kind of like makes you take a step back and be like, oh my gosh, that is beautiful. But yeah, here are some bias cut dresses that are just so flattering. I think one thing, I don't think the 30s is really popular, like type of clothing. Like the 50s and 60s are really popular, but I feel like we always skim over the 30s, and I don't know why, because it is so elegant. It's probably the most girliest decade for fashion because it really just plays on the woman's silhouette, and it's like the natural silhouette, and I adore it. Oh, and this dress is so unique. I don't think I've ever really seen a dress like that from this time period. Oh my, see, look at that purple dress. Like, that is just so darling. It's so whimsical. It reminds me of, like, I don't know, like a witch or something. I love it. Okay, this is like the classic. I think those are like undergarments actually, but they actually had, so because of the 30s, they needed to have, and the bias cut dress, they needed to have long petticoats and stuff like that. So that's why you see a lot of longer petticoats during this time. Oh, so beautiful. And it's just a lot more frillier. Like the patterns, the drapery is just so much more elegant and like girly. I'm just obsessed with it. And these hairstyles in the back, they have these hairstyles that are just so meticulously made. A lot of it reminds me of like, Shirley Temple. I don't know, some outfit from Shirley Temple. But I will never be able to do any of these types of hairstyles. I'm just not into hairstyles. That's why I don't do them, sadly. I wish I was, but I'm just not motivated. And I know other people are better at hairstyles than me, so I don't really ever feel like showing you how I do certain things, because I'm like, well, someone's definitely better than me, and I don't want people to think I'm like bragging and stuff at it, because I'm sure as heck not good. The next photo is really interesting. It's like she's like a modern day Santa Claus. And then you started to see a lot of like off the shoulders. That was very popular as well. Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier. So this is all of the stuff that she wanted to include in the scrapbook, but she just never had time. Also, I want to point out, my hands are washed, but I will not be wearing gloves with this particular scrapbook, because this scrapbook is heavier material. It's very, very sturdy. Like the paper here is very sturdy. I did not have any problems holding it or flipping through it. It usually, you can tell if it's gonna rip, and it's honestly it's better material than my 60s magazines. Everyone always gets so mad when I'm wearing gloves in my 60s flipping through like 60s magazines and stuff, because they're like, oh, you're gonna make it rip. Actually, the gloves, well, actually no, guys, because without my gloves and my 60s magazines, they rip so easily. It's such thin material that it will rip. So that's why I wear gloves for this, but I don't wear gloves for this because it is a lot better material. You know what they say, the older the better, so but a lot of these, like a lot of what I'm showing you right now is from the 40s, just by the style. Like that gray one in the corner, definitely late 30s or early 40s. Those shoulder pads are very prominent, very 80s reminiscent. Okay, and a lot of these are just scraps. A lot of these you can tell she just didn't throw them away. I really liked these two outfits, or these three outfits, because they're really, I like the bottom of that one. It reminds me of Breakfast at Tiffany's dress. Not her main dress, but her second Givenchy dress. Then the shoes. It's really cool to see shoes. I don't own any vintage shoes at all. Maybe I'll own like vintage shoes from the 90s, but I do not have any like actual vintage shoes. I have small feet, but none of them ever fit me. They're either way too big or way too small. I wear a size 5.5, and it's either way too big or, oh, and look how she circled it. She really liked that. see, stuff like that, I love seeing stuff circled. I love seeing stuff written on. I just think that is so darling and so like, oh man, what was she thinking when she was circling that? Like she wanted it, because I remember doing that as a kid and obviously never getting it. Okay, so these are play suits. They're very popular in the late 40s and early 50s and throughout and on. And then those are beach wears. And then somebody stepped on this. I'm guessing it's like old, like, but it was like all dirty. And I was like not expecting that. I was like, ugh. But that's okay. Then this would be considered more 30s, but probably late 30s because of the stronger shoulder pads. I kind of liked reading some of the stories that were interesting in there, or just the articles. I mean, some of them are stories and some of them are not stories. Okay, and yeah, definitely this is probably late 30s, early 40s. Look at that hat. So interesting. Reminds me so much of Gone with the Wind. So much fur coats. And look how much that fur coat costs. I don't know why, but I just think that's like, I don't know. I don't like fur. Like, I've been given a lot of fur coats and they give me the ick because it just makes me sad, but I don't want to like throw it away, obviously. That would be awful, but I don't wear much fur stuff. I do own some fur stuff, but I don't wear it. Oh, was that polka dots? I think that was polka dots. The 30s loved polka dots. Let me tell you, everyone always thinks that the 50s was known for polka dots. No, it was the 30s, guys. It was the 30s. Let's see. Yeah, so 40s right there. That really structured design, which was predominantly because of World War II. A lot of things became a lot more structured. And, you know, I thought I could read this, but I totally cannot read that. I thought that was going to be like a funny thing to read, but I can't read it. Look at those cute shoes. I really think the pointed shoulders are really interesting. And at first I thought this was a witch's hat, and I was like, oh, is this like a Halloween? But no, it's not. And here's another bias cut dress. Very, very flattering. It's supposed to show that she's wearing that underwear underneath. But yeah, that's all. I hope you enjoyed this video.